Erik ten Hag and Marcus Rashford are barely on speaking terms as the pressure mounts on the Manchester United boss. Ten Hag was furious with Rashford when he went out partying until the early hours in Belfast last month when he was due in for training later that day.
The manager felt the player also tried to deceive him by claiming the incident had happened 24 hours earlier than it did. Rashford called in sick on January 26, just 48 hours before United were due to play Newport County in the FA Cup.
But it later emerged that the 26-year-old had been on a tequila session and not got to bed until the early hours of that morning before getting a private plane back to Manchester. Ten Hag was furious and hauled Rashford in for an explanation. Read more in Football. Rai of Hope. My dad won the treble at Man United. Now I'm making my own way in football. Power up. Get £40 in free football bet builder bets when you stake £10 with Paddy Power. While he missed the Newport match, he was restored to the team for the following game away at Wolves, scoring in the opening minutes.
But the relationship between manager and player has not repaired despite Ten Hag claiming it had been put behind them. Ten Hag had already had to discipline Rashford this season after he celebrated his birthday in Manchester city centre last October immediately after getting thumped 3-0 at home in the derby against Pep Guardiola's treble winners.
Staff are now concerned that the relationship between manager and player has broken down irrevocably as Rashford continues to struggle to find the form that led him to career-best figures of 30 goals last season. Most red in football get well soon. Ex-Arsenal ace Olsen rushed to hospital after losing consciousness at home. Mao trouble. Premier League cult hero has to be held back from Maupay in furious Tunnel Row ended. Mason Greenwood wants probe into whether Jude Bellingham called him rapist. Axed. Well, I never. Neville turns back on Sky Sports host after he is cut off mid-rant on live TV. Best free bet sign-up offers for UK bookmakers in the absence of the injured Rasmus Højlund. Ten Hag was forced to play Rashford as a number 9 on Saturday in the 1-0 defeat to Fulham.
The England international struggled against a side who had previously won only once away from home in the league this season. Inside Sir Jim Ratcliffe's plans to replace Old Trafford with a Wembley of the North, he had just 2 shots, one of which was on target and only 6 touches in the opposition box.
Ten Hag has little choice but to stick with him up front for the trip to face Nottingham Forest in the 5th round of the FA Cup at the City Ground. Ace Rash's Tipples timeline. Wednesday, January 24, 9:55 a.m. Rashford arrives for Man United training.
(4:21 p.m). Private jet leaves Manchester. 17 p.m. Plane lands at Belfast International Airport. Rashford checks into the Fitzwilliam Hotel and visits the Dirty Onion and Lavery's bar.
Thursday, January 25, 1:06 p.m. Picture posted online of Rashford at LAN FC. 2 p.m. Arrives at Sarah's restaurant. (4:30 p.m. Leaves restaurant. 9:40 p.m. Rashford sends a driver to bring Sarah to Villa Italia restaurant.
Friday, January 26, 00:30 am. Rashford filmed going into Thompson's Garage nightclub. 2 am. Rashford leaves and the group go back to his hotel, although a source close to the player insists it was at 1. 15 am. 2.50 am. The star passes out fully dressed. 5 am. Rashford and his minders leave hotel.
7 am. Private jet leaves Belfast Airport. 8 am. Plane touches down at Manchester Airport. Sunday, January 28, Rashford is dropped from FA Cup game against Newport County. United boss Erik ten Hag says Rashford's behaviour is an internal matter, and he will deal with it.
Monday, Jan 298.45 am. Rashford arrives for training. Man United News Live. All the latest news from Old Trafford.